In all sports, there's those athletes who had all the potential in the world. They were meant to be great, but for some circumstances like injuries or anything else, they just were never able to reach that star potential that they were meant to get to. So today's video, we're going to be talking about all the guys in the UFC who had all the potential in the world, but never quite reached that level. And I think the best place to start off with
our boy
Steve Erceg.
Yeah, it's a sad sight to see. We've talked about a lot, but this guy was future champ material, and then he got the title shot when he was about ranked number 9 against one of the most dominant flyweights we've seen, especially in the modern era.
Second best flyweight of all time.
And it's just tough, you know. He put up a good fight, and then everyone was high on him in his next fight. Gets KO'd in the first round against Kai France, and then gets booked in a short notice matchup at altitude against, again,
Brandon Moreno,
one of the best flyweights.
Doesn't make sense why that fight was booked.
Yeah, so he's had a bad luck. He went 3-0 in his debut in the UFC, and then he went 0-3 in his next 3 fights. So he's 3-3 right now in the UFC. I don't think by any means that he is done with his career. He's still young. He still looks good. He won rounds off Brandon Moreno, and like we said, he went to a close decision with Pantoja. So he obviously has the takedown defense, the necessary skills to be a good flyweight. But I just feel like the UFC pushed him too fast, too far up the rankings, and ruined his career, honestly.
Yeah, like it doesn't make sense why they did what they did. You know, the Kai France match made sense, getting brutally KO'd in the first round and then giving him the second ranked guy. Let this guy rebuild, build himself back up, take some time off, not give him one of the best flyweights of all time.
Yeah, and I think next he needs to fight down in the rankings. They could rebook the Asu Almabayev fight, who's just 1 rank above him, so that's not too big of a jump. But honestly, like, give him someone easier, you know?
Yeah.
Even a Joshua Van matchup would be fun because we know Joshua Van don't hit that hard.
Yeah, he'll get you 200 times, but
exactly, you won't feel it.
Yeah, it won't be 200 hard shots.
Yeah.
My next guy up, this is going to be one that you're going to think is really interesting for me to have on my list, though. One of my favorite fighters, Shavkat Rakhmonov.
What could have been if he didn't get injured every 10 seconds?
It is so interesting because this guy has potential to be a welterweight great, but who knows if we're ever going to see him make it to that level just because of the pure just injury. Like, I don't understand how this guy is always injured. He fights once a year. He's 31 years old at this point, I think.
Yeah.
What's he got? 4 fights left in the UFC at this rate?
At this rate, yeah, just about.
It might even be less.
And it's just weird because it's not only is he injured in the off season, but he's also injured coming into all of his fights.
Yeah.
So not only does he take these full year layoffs, he took a full year, December to December, but he comes into the fights somehow still injured.
Yeah.
How does that make sense?
He just is never healthy.
It's like a Hamzat thing, you know?
Yeah.
But it feels like with Hamzat, it's more of like immune system sickness. With Shavkat, it's like he has like a muscle density problem. It's something.
It's really
training.
weird. He's just so weak.
Yeah. The
And
MCL tear.
Who knows if he'll ever fight for the belt?
Yeah.
Because if you just keep on pulling out of fights.
Yeah, Dana does not like that.
No.
You know, he doesn't give favor to those guys who pull out of fights. He didn't pull out of UFC 310, fair enough. He did take that fight against Ian Gary on a new opponent on short notice. But yeah, I mean, how long can you guarantee a guy like Shavkat the title shot when you have Sean Brady, who just dominated Leon Edwards in it would have been a 50-45, but he finished him.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
And then you have JDM, who actually already jumped the line and got a title shot. And then you have guys like Joaquin Buckley, who were fighting every 3 months.
They're fighting. They're more active. You know, if you're Shavkat right now, guys are just passing you by and you're just standing there watching it.
I wouldn't be surprised if Ian Gary gets a title shot before Shavkat at this rate.
No, I wouldn't either. Should we talk about another guy that's very similar to Shavkat in Hamzat?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like his potential actually isn't wasted yet. I think his potential to be a triple weight champion is gone.
Yeah, I think the UFC GOAT. Like in COVID, people were talking about him like he was gonna be, you know, the UFC GOAT.
Yeah, he was the next Khabib.
Yeah,
for sure. Dana was calling him that.
but with the rate that he's at now, he's very similar. once a year is what you're getting from Hamzat. Maybe we could get once every 8 months at his peak. But it's nowhere near the every single week. You know, this guy was like live cable programming it every week. You're turned on the Hamzat Chimaev show. You know? UFC Fighter Island starring Hamzat Chimaev and Kevin Holland.
That's true. That was a good show.
And then the series finale was when they fought each other.
No, I agree with that. I think he did have the potential to be a UFC great, and I think he still could be a maybe one of the best middleweights of all time. You know, Anderson Silva is very difficult to beat, but who knows what's going to happen with his career, because he's not super young. He's not super old, but again, like you said, if you're only fighting once a year, once every 8 months, you only have another 5 fights. And you can't really surpass an Anderson Silva with only 5 fights. Yeah,
especially, and you know, your 5 fights getting booked, and then you're pulling out of this one. You're
true.
Sick.
Yeah.
You know, we probably saw the best Hamzat Chimaev I've ever seen in his last fight, so we just hope that he can keep that up. You know, if he found something that helps him. And then there was also like the family stuff too. He's just had an unfortunate go.
It might, honestly, looking back at that Whitaker fight, that might be the best Hamzat we ever see.
Yeah,
you know,
I mean that's very fair. You know, just mauling a former champion in about a minute. You know, not many fighters can do better than that.
No. All right, next fighter on my list is gonna be MVP. I think they made a big mistake not getting him in the UFC sooner. I feel like they're making a lot of. I mean, look, I'm not on the business side of things. I don't know what I'm doing, but in my opinion, you have stars in PFL and Bellator like Paul Hughes. And you are not willing to pay them any money, but you're willing to pay Amanda Nunes probably an insane amount of money to come back and generate no hype.
Yeah, Paul Hughes is like, why is this guy in the PFL?
Yeah.
You know, bring this guy over.
Yeah, so I feel like with MVP, you know, he had those highlight KOs, and now he's 37, turning 38. What are we doing here? You know, he's never going to be a champion. He's never going to be top 5 ranked. He's going to be one of those guys who gives you a fun featured fight or a good main event of a fight night.
Well, here's the thing with MVP is that he could have been top 5 ranked in his prime, I think, in welterweight. He would have fit perfectly in the Usman era. You know, instead of having Usman having to fight Colby 3 times and Woodley 3 times, MVP could have worked his way right in there. He would have fit perfectly. Like, imagine a prime MVP versus a prime Wonder Boy.
Yeah,
that might be in my like top 10 dream fights.
Yeah, or even like just MVP versus Masvidal.
Yeah, like
there's so many good ones.
But you bring him over when he's 38 and you use him to beat up your number 1 middleweight prospect. You know, like...
Well, we never believed in the middleweight prospect, but everyone else did. Yeah, I think it's just a mistake. You know, they're missing out on some really cool talent, some fun fights, and they have the money for it, so just poach them.
Yeah, and I think, you know, to piggyback off that, we can talk about Pitbull right now, too, with him being 37, 38, and you finally bring him over, like the Bellator go. Maybe he didn't want to leave Bellator.
Yeah, who knows? Like... to be fair, maybe Bellator does almost pay as good as the UFC
for the low guys, because I think Pitbull's on like a 10 and 10.
Yeah, Pitbull got paid $10,000 for the your fight.
But yeah, I know that like that is an issue. Is like these guys struggle to come over from these other promotions when they haven't built up the name like an MVP or a Pitbull, because the 10 and 10, it's like. You know, it's not.
It's so bad, dude.
It's so bad. Like, you know, you're fighting for the welterweight championship.
The welterweight?
The Bellator, the Glory Championship, and then it's like, you know, you get $10,000 for this fight.
Did you hear about Artem Vadikov, who came off of the Contender Series and was one of the biggest names because he had fought Alex Pereira and won? And so they could have had that storyline.
Yeah, and
but
they
instead,
offered him 10 and 10.
Best we can do is 10 and 10, kids. Like, that's ridiculous, dude. Yeah. He is bringing more hype to the UFC, in my opinion, than Amanda Nunes would in a comeback.
Well, all you need to say is, this guy beat Pereira. This guy beat Pereira.
Exactly.
How many times could Bisping say that in 15 minutes? You know, like...
I hate Bisping. It's so annoying.
But, yeah, Pitbull, 38 years old, like... Especially in a smaller weight class, like what is a 38-year-old gonna do?
Yeah,
like what's the point? Like you just bring him over for one and done.
Even Volk at 36 barely looks good.
All right, my next guy, it's the Diaz brothers. The way that they were just
the management was awful.
The management of these guys and the way that you just basically ruined the rest of these two guys' lives.
Yeah,
from the CTE is just like. Oh, man. Like, you have Nate Diaz the dude submitted Conor McGregor, the first ever guy to submit Conor McGregor, and then you're just throwing him out there to the wolves.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it almost feels like uncomfortable to talk about the Diaz brothers and like how they were like, you know, because they're like you listen to them talk and they can't talk. They're not even 40 years old and they can't talk.
Oh, that's just because they're from Stockton.
Basically.
But no, yeah, I agree with you. I was debating putting them on the list, but to be honest, like I wasn't in that era of fighting, so it didn't really affect me that much.
But they're still dogs. Like they're fan favorites, and you just
And Nick Diaz was supposed to be coming back, getting that Vicente Luque.
They were both supposed to be coming back.
Yeah, now they're in the GFL, so it's all good. It's all good, buddy. Next fighters, this is like a pair because I think they're similar. Arnold Allen and Calvin Kattar, both getting destroyed by Max Holloway. Like really, I think it was Arnold Allen who just got pushed into that matchup when he was like 28 or 27, super young, only a couple wins under his belt, like ranked wins, and he just got shoved into that title matchup and, you know, fed him to the wolves, got beat up by Max Holloway for 25 minutes. Like not many guys can come out of that unscathed. And Calvin Kattar and Arnold Allen both got beat up. Calvin Kattar especially, like never the same after that fight. So it just sucks to see guys who are exciting boxers, who have great combinations, just get pieced up for 25 minutes and then they're never ever the same. Arnold Allen, look, I still believe Arnold Allen can still be a good fighter, but it's just like a massive setback in your career.
It's so funny. It's like, Holloway, you know, you lost to Volk, but we need to build you back up. Let's go give you these young prospects to go just beat up on.
Anyways, they just got done dirty. Sucks to see. Hopefully they can both come back though. Well, Calvin Kattar's past that, but Arnold Allen I still believe in. Next fighter, who do you have?
Move on to my heavyweight portion of the video, and the first one I'm going to talk about is Tom Aspinall. He might be the biggest active wasted potential.
Oh, for sure, right now.
You have the guy that is... It is all but solidified that he is going to be the heavyweight GOAT.
Yeah.
You just have him sitting as interim champion, not getting any title defenses.
In the prime of his career.
This is a guy that would fight every 4 months if he could.
For sure.
He wants to be active. He wants to fight. And you just have him sitting away on the sidelines waiting for Johnny Bones.
It's so annoying. The fact that there's still no announcement for that is just pissing me off.
It's not 317.
It's not, bro. John Jones needs 12 months to prepare.
It'll be November. It'll be November.
And so that would mean that Tom Aspinall sat out for like, what, almost 2 years?
No, because he was
or the
July.
Blades fight.
Yeah, that was July 27th.
Brutal. Absolutely brutal. Not fair at all.
Can we talk about how I just pulled the date from that fight? July 27th.
Wow, that's
2024.
Deep cut right there.
You call us casuals.
But 2 years since he won the belt.
Yeah.
Which is just unbelievable.
And forever interim.
And he didn't have to take that Blades fight.
No.
He didn't, bro. All right, my next fighter, I'm going to go with BSD. Dude, Lucas Tracy was talking about this guy as he was going to be the one to beat Makhachev. And then he won against Matt Frevola and then got a shot at Dustin Poirier.
There's a big difference between Frevola and Poirier.
Pretty close. But yeah, I mean, he was clipping on guys, all finishes. Still, all of his wins are by finish, which is why the Joel Alvarez fight is such a banger.
Yeah.
I'm so excited
Only
for that.
finishes.
Yeah.
Imagine that fight goes to a decision.
But yeah, I mean, he still looked good in some of his fights, even when he was losing. Like in the Poirier fight, I thought round 1, I was like, dang, this guy's freaking massive, just manhandling Poirier. I guess in hindsight, Poirier is jumping the gilly for fun because he doesn't take the guy seriously and just KOs him in round 2 pretty handedly, and then, you know, gets back in there against who was his next fight?
Money Moicano.
Was it Moicano? Yeah,
I think he had like a year and a half layoff.
Yeah, maybe not that long, but a year layoff against Moicano, and that was at UFC 311. So 299 to 311, probably like just under a year, and gets dominated in the first round, and then honestly won the second round, and then doctor stoppage.
Yeah.
So it's like the dude clearly has some skill, just no head movement, and I think he didn't have enough time to develop. He just got thrown into the big dogs.
Yeah, like Frevola to Poirier is like one of the craziest jumps in UFC history.
Yeah, and it's just because Poirier was coming off that knockout loss.
Yeah, they're like, this Poirier guy's not good.
He's washed.
Yeah, and the next thing you know, after that BSD fight, 2 months later, is giving Makhachev maybe his toughest matchup.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, my next guy, another heavyweight, Tai Tuivasa.
Screw that guy, man.
Like, I don't get what happened. You know, he's the fat Tony Ferguson, basically. Fat, some Polynesian Tony Ferguson. You know, like
Fat Polynesian.
like I don't know what happened from this guy to be, future heavyweight champion potentially.
It's crazy.
To 5-fight lose streak. You know, like all the potential, and heavyweight needs this guy so badly.
Yeah, we need a hero.
And then just
No, he's not that guy.
Yeah.
French Polynesia ain't it. The Tafar brothers, though, I can sense a title run.
Yeah, they're on their way up.
Yeah. Right after Taliesin Teixeira wins the belt, they'll do a rematch.
How many more you want?
Biggest fight in UFC history. Taliesin Teixeira versus Justin Tafa.
He's fighting Derek Lewis. That got announced.
Oh, yeah. Right. Sorry.
Yeah, someone was like, oh, this pick's going to age so poorly when he loses to Derek Lewis.
Who knows, man? Derek Lewis
Yeah,
could just...
Derek Lewis is a killer.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I got maybe one more good one
Yeah,
left.
one more.
Okay. Call me crazy. Max Holloway, bro. Let me explain. Hear me out.
Honestly?
Right? I'm on to something, okay? If Volk did not exist, this dude would be the greatest fighter of all time, okay? He would have gone on like a 12-fight winning streak in the modern, or a 12-fight title reign in the modern era of UFC. Because you have to remember, this dude did not lose to anyone except Volk. For his entire featherweight career after that 3-3 start. And then he goes up to lightweight, beats Justin Gaethje, #1 contender, and sleeps him. And then, he could have gotten a title shot. Like, let's say he was that undefeated guy at featherweight. He could have gone Justin Gaethje title shot, beats Makhachev, the GOAT. Call me crazy.
Move him up to welterweight.
You can't take him down.
Yeah.
He can't be taken down. But on a real note, I think that if Volkanovski didn't win that first fight, maybe everything goes differently. Maybe Max Holloway has that little bit more confidence. Maybe Volk goes on a skid. Who knows? And then also, even in this last year, if he didn't take the Topuria fight and the matchups went differently, Topuria vacates, moves up, and we see Holloway versus Lopez, he's featherweight champ again.
Dominates Lopez.
He's featherweight champ again.
Just dogs on Lopez.
Can we talk about how Lopez has no technique? Who tricked us into thinking that Lopez was a good fighter?
No, we said that he was sloppy. We said he was sloppy.
Yeah.
And it was on full display that how sloppy he is.
This dude's never heard of ring control. Like, he cannot cut off the cage.
Just no combos either. Just throwing fast.
It's so crazy. He'll throw an overhand like this.
FBI, open up.
It's ridiculous, man.
My last guy, another heavyweight former killer, Sergey Pavlovich.
True. So true.
Was the next big thing. He might have almost been as big as Tom Aspinall.
Yeah.
Was going to just dominate the heavyweight weight class for years. We're saying this about all of them because they just needed someone to dominate.
Yeah.
And then short notice fight versus Tom Aspinall, and just all went to crap after that.
Yeah. Almost KO'd him, though.
Almost got him, but then he loses that decision to Volkov.
Yeah.
And then he, barely beats Rosenstrike.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's crazy.
The
takedowns on Rosenstrike, oh man.
Yeah.
It's dangerous. I wonder what would have happened if Pavlovich would have won that interim belt. Like, would Pavlovich still be waiting out, or would have John Jones would have retired because there wouldn't have been that beef? Is the only reason John Jones still here because of that potential
I don't know.
payday?
I think maybe.
Yeah.
50 mil.
50 mil to fight
Dude,
Pavlovich?
UFC is just waiting for that new TV deal. Like, they think that they can make $1 billion a year from the TV deal.
From Netflix?
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw, well, it actually runs out tomorrow, I think, on Tuesday.
I don't know. But
yeah. So they need to find a new deal pretty soon.
All I want is Netflix to buy them.
Yeah.
Because the trying to find a stream now.
Yeah, trying to find the UFC pay-per-view live stream
was a struggle for 314. It maybe almost took me an hour.
Yeah.
To find one.
Yeah. It's getting tough out here, guys.
And being able to watch any WWE pay-per-view for free.
Yeah, that's so insane.
And it's like, well, UFC will be the exact same way.
Well, and I'm telling you, like, I would pay a small add-on to Netflix.
If you're telling me I had to pay $20 a month to watch the UFC, sure. I'd be
like
fine
all
with
UFC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. But I don't think that there's going to be an add-on. It's literally just going to be your regular Netflix.
Yeah, until they re-sign with ESPN again. I don't think they will. I think they hate ESPN, honestly.
Yeah. Dana White appreciates the relationship they've built over these past few years.
That's a kind way in business to say.
But with enough yapping, that's going to wrap it up for us today. Make sure you guys go down to the comments. Let us know who you think is the biggest wasted potential in UFC history.
It's me.
Probably Conor McGregor, the cocaine. While you guys are down there, make sure you guys are liking and subscribing, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.
See ya.